Thank y'all for being here. I'm going to read a brief statement, and then we will take questions if you have them. Can y'all hear me okay? Yes. At approximately 4 a.m. this morning, 4 a.m. Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, a Buda police officer made a traffic stop in the 1500 block of IH-35 in Buda. The suspect exited his vehicle and reportedly pointed a firearm at the Buda police officer, who then fired at the suspect. The Buda police officer called for assistance as a foot pursuit ensued. Additional gunfire was exchanged as officer pursued the suspect. Hays County Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene and assisted Buda PD in trying to locate the suspect. The suspect was located a short time later and continued to flee from law enforcement. Hays County Sheriff's deputies engaged the suspect, at which time they discharged their firearms at the suspect. The suspect was struck multiple times and fell to the ground. Responding officers immediately started life-saving measures, called EMS. The suspect was taken into custody and was transported to a local hospital, where he remains in critical condition. The suspect in question has been identified as Lee Allen Ellsbury. He's a 46-year-old male from Marble Falls. Ellsbury has an extensive criminal history with a current felony warrant for his arrest out of Austin for unauthorized use of motor vehicle. Buda Police will be filing the following charges: attempted capital murder, 2 charges of aggravated assault on a peace officer with a deadly weapon, failure to identify fugitive, and possession of a firearm by a felon. The Texas Rangers were called to the scene and are conducting a neutral and independent investigation of the incident in conjunction with the Buda Police Department and the Hays County Sheriff's Office. The Hays County Sheriff's deputies involved in the incident have been reassigned to administrative duties pending the outcome of the investigation. Buda police officers have been placed on paid administrative leave in accordance with our department policy. Members of the public who have information regarding this investigation may contact Lieutenant Barry Lee with the Buda Police Department. Our administrative line here is 512-312-1001, or after hours 512-396-7896, or can be reached by email blee@budatex.gov. Citizens could also contact Crime Stoppers anonymously by calling 1-800-324-8466. They can also submit an information online to the tip line p3tips.com, or submit a tip to the new Hays County Sheriff's Office app. This concludes my statement, and we will take a few questions.
Can you just describe a little bit more in detail the interaction at the traffic stop? Just kind of what happened. Did the guy immediately come out? And what did the officer say to them? And did the officer hit the suspect? So if you can just go into detail of the interaction.
I didn't hear the last part of your question. What was the last sentence?
Did the suspect actually shoot, or I'm sorry, did the officer actually shoot the suspect? But if you can just kind of play by play the interaction that happened once the vehicle was pulled over.
It's my understanding that the suspect was asked to remain in the vehicle. He exited the vehicle with a firearm, and the officer did fire 1 round at the suspect at that point. The investigation is ongoing. We don't believe that round hit the suspect, and then it turned into a pretty long foot pursuit, and there were shots fired during that pursuit.
Do we know what the original traffic stop over was?
As I understand, it was suspicious circumstances that caused the officer to run the registration, and it came back also with being uninsured. Anybody else?
Well, I did talk to some of the neighbors there, and they said that nothing like this has ever happened before, that they've lived here like 35 years, something like that. Talk a little bit about that. Is that kind of a statement true?
It is. So Buda Police Department is 13 years old, and in that time, we've never had an officer-involved shooting. This would be the first.
Can you talk a little bit about that final encounter? Where specifically did it happen, and what sort of led up to the deputy firing?
Let me say this, and being that that's the sheriff's deputies that were involved in the final part of that, but I would just tell you that it's still an active crime scene. The road is shut down. They're still processing the scene, so we don't have a lot of answers and details. Those further details will come, I would expect, in the next days. But there's a lot of work to do still out there. Sheriff, do you want to comment on that?
He pretty much covered it. When officers joined in to assist the Buda Police Department, we were on the perimeter on one side, and the suspect was fleeing, and he was being chased by Buda. He came out over in our area, and it was over close to the frontage road. But he's right. It's not even 12 hours deep in this investigation. We haven't seen video footage, anything. It's a lot of investigation left to do.
So as far as that final encounter, it's unclear whether the suspect fired first or pointed his gun or this or that. That's kind of all under investigation.
That's all under investigation.
And what's the location of that spot?
The frontage road, I don't know, right over here on the frontage road 35.
So like a ways down from where the initial...
It was not far. It was not far from where the initial stop was. The pursuit headed south, the foot pursuit, and then it changed directions and went back in the direction where the suspect's vehicle was. Perhaps he was trying to get back to his vehicle. We don't know. Mm-hmm.
And Sheriff, not allowed to deal with, take me through that final moment once again. Was it multiple deputies that were pursuing the suspect, and how many officers opened fire at the suspect?
We had 3 officers there whenever they located the individual. 3 deputies.
Were you guys running on foot or were you in vehicles?
They were on foot. They were out of the vehicles. That's correct.
And I would just add, our agencies, including DPS, we work closely together all the time. So when our officers call a pursuit out like this, it's not uncommon that they would respond to assist as well as we would respond to assist them. That happens on somewhat a regular basis.
You can go back to the original interaction. So the officer is with the suspect, and then what happened with the suspect that led other people to join in this, other law enforcement?
Well, he pointed a gun at an officer and fled.
I might add that right off the bat, he gave a false identity to the officer. He did not give his right name, so a lot of things were happening on that stop.
How many shots were fired out there?
We do not know that yet. We review all the footage and interview all the officers involved.
It's my understanding there's probably 4 different parts of this pursuit, areas that need to be processed, and they're doing it in sequential order. So we just don't have those answers yet.
All right, these gentlemen have a lot of work to do. We'll take one more question.
And I guess the sheriff, during the interaction, the suspect, is he running away? Is he looking at the officers? Does he have his back towards them?
That's still to be determined once we review footage from the body cameras.
And multiple shots were exchanged between them somehow?
That's still going to be determined when multiple shots were fired, so we've got to review a lot of footage.